Hi, and welcome to my final reflective analysis of my time at Ontario Tech University. In this video, I will be covering how my vision of teaching and learning has matured over my 4 semesters at this school, why my vision might have shifted, what I think I would like my classroom to look like based on what I've learned, and then finally provide some achievable goals for my first year of teaching. So let's start at the very beginning with a few personal statements I made early on during my time at the school. As you can see, they are pretty generic. I think they're an inaccurate reflection about the profession, and to be honest, aren't very well written. I think they're quite basic in terms of the level of thinking, and they don't involve many deeper connections. If we move down to statements I made later on during my time here, we can see that they are a lot more inclusive in regards to the importance of incorporating Indigenous culture into my classroom, as well as examining my biases and helping to educate others with their biases as well. I believe another crucial part to inclusion is the idea of incorporating differentiated instruction into my lessons so that students have a variety of opportunities to show how they've understood the material. I think combining this with the idea of universal design for learning will help my students achieve things in the classroom they otherwise probably never would have been able to do if I didn't try to fit their needs or accommodate their needs. After all, the most important aspect of teaching is the students, and in order to do that and accommodate them, we need to get to know them. It's not about what I think is best in my room. I need to be able to adapt and grow as I have during my time here at the school. I've also come to understand the importance of incorporating technology into the classroom to help foster things like collaboration, develop critical thinking skills, and better engage my students. I've also learned a lot about how to plan for the scope of a year, all the way down to a single lesson in a day. If we move on to some of the things we've covered this semester alone, they would include the learning environment. We talked about some long-term planning, Indigenous education and how to incorporate it into your class. We looked at assessment, classroom management, as well as having parents for partners, among other topics as well. I feel much more prepared now than I ever thought I could be when I first started, just based on what we have discussed and reviewed this semester alone. I think my vision has changed because of all the experiences I was lucky enough to have during my time at this school and during my placements. I also feel it has changed because of all the unique courses we have taken and the concepts or philosophies that have been discussed. The most important thing to me, once I get my own classroom, is I want my room to be something like a community where we all respect and include each other in a variety of ways. My hope is that if I can achieve this state in my room, my students will feel safe enough to share their ideas, work together to solve problems, and not harm each other physically or emotionally. I also hope that this community feel will limit the amount of discipline that would be needed to keep the class running smoothly, and also incorporate the parents in a variety of different ways. If I do need to resort to disciplining a student, I believe that this community feel and culture exists, then we can have more of a discussion about the issues and come to some sort of agreement to move past the conflict and grow together. I don't think that it would require, yelling at the student, because I don't think that shows any progression. And I think there's a lot of different tactics you can use to find common ground, which are things I learned here as well. Just because I have come so far doesn't mean I don't have more to learn. I know that I struggle with incorporating assessment in some form on a daily basis, and I cannot just rely on using assessment of learning. I need to do more assessments that are as learning and for learning so that there is more of a balance. I also need to ensure that I try and limit the amount of mistakes I make in class, especially during instructional time, so that I don't confuse my students or provide them with the wrong information. Finally, I need to try and be more open and friendly, especially as a substitute in schools I would have never visited previously. This is more so with staff and parents, but also including students as well. You can never be too friendly and, ask them how they are, things like that. I have a tendency to keep to myself, and I'm quite reserved, which can sometimes come off as cold. But once people get to know me, they will find that I am the exact opposite. If I can achieve these goals, it will only help further my ability to teach and help not only my students but everyone in the school community.